Okay, this video is for anyone who missed the Zoom meeting or anyone who was in the Zoom meeting, but perhaps you missed a blank or two. So we're going to go over this paper about the legislative branch. So the legislative branch is, as we've discussed, one of the three branches of government, and their job is to make laws for our country. As a whole, it is referred to as Congress. And there is a period right there, so it doesn't really say Congress, Congress. This is a new sentence. So the House of Representatives and the Senate altogether is known as Congress. Congress is divided into two sections, the Senate and, this is a big one, you're going to have to write small, House of Representatives. Now, what we are talking about here is the federal government, so the government for our entire nation. Now, sometimes people get a little bit confused because Texas also has a Congress with a House of Representatives and a Senate, and every state does. But the legislative branch of our federal government is the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. All right, so let's break it down now. The Senate. The Senate has 100 elected senators total, and citizens vote for their senators. Nobody appoints senators like the president or the Supreme Court, or nobody else can just, like even the leader of the House of Representatives, which we'll get to in a minute, they don't just say, hey, this is going to be the new senator for Texas. The Texans get to vote for their two U.S. senators. People in Ohio get to vote for their two U.S. senators. So this is a total voted for office. There's no appointing of a senator. There are two senators per state, so 50 states times two senators each equal 100 total senators. So you don't have to fill in anything there, but that's just for your information. Interestingly enough, we've talked a little bit this year about Washington, D.C., which is right in here between Virginia and Maryland, right there. See that line? District of Columbia is not a state. Therefore, they do not have any senators. Only the states have senators. So that's just an interesting tidbit. All right, each senator serves a 6-year term and can be reelected. There are no term limits. A senator can serve as many terms as long as he or she is elected. So they serve for 6 years, then they have to run again against other people. And they can be reelected over and over again, but every 6 years they have to go up for reelection. They can't just stay there. All right, moving on to the House of Representatives. This is a much larger body of people. The House has 435 representatives. And again, citizens vote for their representatives. Now, I know that you mostly all know this already because a lot of this is on the citizenship test questions that you're studying, but just stick with me. The number of representatives from each state is based on the state's population, which is why the census we're doing right now is so very important, because we need an accurate count of every state to determine how many representatives each state is going to get. And if you look down at the map at the bottom of this page, some of them are a little difficult to see, but this tells you how many representatives each state has. So Texas has 36, California has 53, New York has, where's New York? New York, 27. Those are the three biggest. Oh wait, they're in a tie now. Florida and New York both have 27. So some big ones. Then you have states like Montana, 1, Alaska, 1, right? Now, important difference in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Remember that I said the District of Columbia does not have any senators. They do have one representative in the House of Representatives, as do all of our territories. Puerto Rico has one, Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, and these islands, I can't read that, Mariano Islands. Those all, even though they're not official states, they all have one representative in the House of Representatives. So that's different than the Senate. The Senate is only the 50 states. House of Representatives has representatives from those other areas as well. All right, so each representative serves only a 2-year term and may be reelected. There are no term limits, so that's the same. It's a different term, so Senator serves 6, House of Representatives serves 2, but they can be reelected over and over and over again. It's just a matter of how often do they have to be reelected. All right, and then again, we talked about the map, and there's nothing to fill in on the map. All right, turn to your second page. All right, so where does all this take place? Where do the Senate and the House of Representatives meet? They meet at the Capitol Building, TOL, by the way, in Washington, D.C. All right, and what do they do? So, senators gather together in one part of the Capitol while the representatives gather together in another part of the Capitol. Once there, they create, edit, and deliberate on bills. You know that? I'm sure you've heard that, Schoolhouse Rock, I'm just a bill. It goes through kind of the process. Maybe I'll post it so you can look at it if you haven't seen it. But bills are proposals for laws. It's ideas for things people would like to see become a law. So they look at them and they debate and they research and they decide if a bill should become a law. This can be a challenge because not every senator or representative has the same ideas or opinions. Plus, these elected officials need to keep in mind the interests of the citizens that voted them into office. And if you were in the Zoom meeting, we talked about that a little bit more with some examples. All right, how does a bill become a law? Within the Senate and House, there are committees that focus on certain bills. Once these committees have a bill drafted, they can propose it to the rest of their colleagues in the House or Senate. From there, if the majority, so the first vote that they need is just a majority, which is more than half. So in the Senate, if they have this is the House of Representatives, so more than half of 435 of the House, and then more than half of the 100 senators like the bill, then they send it to the president. Hey, we'd like for this to become a law. If he likes it, he signs it. If he doesn't like it, then he can veto it, which just means he does not sign it. So after he vetoes it, it doesn't die right there. It goes back to the House of Representatives, and now they vote again. And if they can get 2/3 majority vote, and then they send it to the Senate, and if they can get 2/3 majority vote, so out of 100, say 68, right, is 2/3. 51 is just simple majority. So instead of getting 51, now they need to get 68. If they can do that, they can actually overrule the president, and it becomes a law anyway. All right, so here's just a little example in the picture. So they're voting. Yay means yes. Nay means no. So in this example, the House voted in favor of a bill. 269 representatives voted yay, which means yes. 161 representatives voted nay, which means no, and 3 representatives declined to vote. No vote. So sometimes they just can't decide and they go, I'm not going to vote on this one. And they can kind of sit out in the vote. Ooh, they would never do that in the game of Survivor. But in the game of lawmaking, they do. Since this bill passed the House, it must go to the Senate to be voted on there before going to the President. If there is enough support for a bill in both the House and Senate, then the President can sign the bill into law. That law will remain in place as long as there is enough support for it in the Congress and with the President. This is why it is so important to vote for people who you think will represent your values and ideals successfully. These people do have some power, as we talked about last week. They don't have absolute power. They do check and balance each other out, but it's still important to have good people in there that are going to vote the way that you want them to vote. They're going to do the right thing so that we have laws that make sense for our country. So, you are going to use this information on the assignment tomorrow, so make sure you have all your answers filled in. Talk to you guys later. Bye.